Hello, Benjies. Welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, the Geekish Network. I'm boy, Johnny Randolph, or you can call me Randy. And we got three dope co-hosts. My first co-host, she is an actress, she's a writer, she's a director, and fresh off of completing the LA Marathon, our own badass Miss Courtney Scott Wright. Say what's up to the people, Courtney.
Hello.
Yo, that's mad dope. It's mad dope.
Mad dope.
It is. Yeah. You the big winner for real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my next co-host, well, this guy, he's a mogul. He's a video game designer. He's part owner of the Geekish Network. Say what's up to the people, Chuck.
What it do?
And
get your mans.
Y'all should have heard our conversation before we went live.
Oh my God, I just got Moscow Mule on my nose.
Uh-huh.
And our last co-host, my man, he is an influencer. He's an actor. He's a writer. My man be spitting that fire right here on Geek Beats every day and on the BingeWorthy podcast. Say what's up to the people, Centel.
Yo, what's up? I hope we got some critters on board that hopped in, because I know that's the name of y'all's little click critters from Critical Role and all that.
Yeah.
A part of the whole shebang, and I get to sit here and fight and argue with three of my absolute favorite compadres. Let's go.
Oh, all right. What's going on, fam? How's everybody doing tonight, man? Y'all ready for this?
We're doing great. Yep, I'm ready.
All right, cool. Now, the premise of our show is that every week we will binge watch a television series. And then we come right here to the BingeWorthy podcast. And at the beginning of our show, we will evaluate this series based on our unique binge-worthy scale. And then we engage in some conversation. The conversation where we will agree with each other. And occasionally we're going to throw some verbal blows at each other, you know, ducking and dodging them, bobbing and weaving and hitting people and landing them when we need to. And then at the end of the series, at the end of the show, we will re-rate that series. Maybe our co-host can influence us to change that rating. Sometimes it will lift that rating up. And sometimes it just drags that shit all the way down to the basement. And tonight, we are reviewing The Legend of Vox Machina. If I mess up that name, don't be mad at me.
Jesus
I didn't
Christ.
do it intentionally. I just, just kind of what I do. The series is set in Exandria, a fictional world created by Matthew Mercer in 2012 for his personal Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which then launched as an actual play web series on Critical Role in 2015. Most of the story takes place on the continent of Tyadori? I don't know what that is. Tyadori, yeah, what Courtney said. In locations such as the metropolis of the city-state. Now, speaking of evaluations and rating, normally, I always throw one of my co-hosts right up under that bus because they don't know who's going to go first until I actually call on them. But like the troopers, right? Like the troopers and the professionals that they are, they always handle it with dignity and class and expertise. So to give them a moment of reprieve, although I've talked a hell of a lot, I'm going to go first, right?
What?
Yeah, I'm going to let them sit back.
I had a feeling. That's why I was like, go ahead and eat this bagel because I know he's going first.
Yeah, you should go first.
I will sit back and let them chill. And, I'm going to be the guinea pig for this one. All right. Okay. So for this series, I had a lot of fun. And if you like action, I think this is a series for you because literally 30 seconds into this Mamma Jamma, we saw limbs being severed, blood flying over the place, eagles or whatever swooping down and killing people. So if you like action, I think this is for you. Now, this is an animated series, but it is not an animated series for your children. At least if you are a good parent, it is not an animated series for your child. But it's a lot of fun. And this series, as I alluded to a little earlier, it being a Dungeons and Dragons game into a full-fledged series. I've played Dungeons and Dragons with my wonderful co-host here, and it was a lot of fun. And I can just imagine, right, if the game that we played got an opportunity to turn into an actual series. So it was fun to me. There wasn't necessarily a lot of originality in some of the tropes that we had. They were all kind of in line with what we've seen before. So that took away a little bit from it for me. And that's the only reason that I'm not giving it a full binge out. I'm going to give it a solid full meal. That's my rating. So a full meal. All right, then we're going to go over to Centel, man. How are you going to rate The Legends of Vox Machina?
All right, so like you, there's things outside of the actual series that's really intriguing in that, and one of the things being that it's based off of a real tabletop game experience. And for those of you who are fortunate enough to play a tabletop experience with some of your friends, it is an experience that is difficult to explain and replicate unless you are actually a part of it. So I'm very biased. I have to say that to begin with. But I have my reservations because if you've played tabletop gaming, it's pretty slow. The pace is really slow. It's really methodical. It's a lot of dice rolling and decisions that have to be made. So I went into this thinking, I'm like, how is that going to translate into an actual cartoon and an animation? And they delivered. They delivered all the way through. The beautiful thing about tabletop gaming experiences is that it is solely based on the characters that you've created and your friends that are sharing this experience with you. That translated epically over on the animation front, because it's not so much about the action scenes per se, or even as much as the overall arcing storyline. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, because you know how much I am a warhawk when it comes to story. It really is about these characters and how very individual each of them are. And combine that with the fact that you have real voice actors that did the actual tabletop gaming experience and transferred it over to the animation as well. It delivered on all fronts. It was completely binge-worthy to me. I love it. Now, I also have to be real and say that if I didn't have the previous tabletop gaming experience, I may feel a little bit differently about it. But because of that bias, it's binge-worthy.
Okay. All right. Chuck, we're going to jump over to you, man. How are you going to rate it?
Man, I'm going to give it a binge-worthy. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I loved it. I give it a binge-worthy. I thought the animation was good. And I think this is perfectly appropriate for all children of all ages. Like Wu-Tang is for the kids. This is for all the kids. Because
do
not let him babysit your kids, right? Do not let him babysit your kids.
Do not let your children.
I'm just playing.
Don't let them.
I'm just playing.
Kids that happened to you.
All the scenes, but the sex scenes are for the kids. Because we like violence in America. And this is America, baby, and we show violence off.
Show, and the language.
No, but
the penis shot.
Honestly, I thought this was great. I backed this. I'm a Kickstarter super backer, and I was one of the people that backed it. I didn't know much about Critical Role. I just knew they were popular, and my friends were like, yo, support them. You know, this is how we get our start in the industry. This is how we get started. And then they partnered up with Titmouse, which is ran by another friend of mine that I met at Comic-Con. And we just came like best buds in Comic-Con. And it's been an adventure ever since. So no, Critical Role, they've known each other for years. It felt like they knew each other when they made this. And this is based on their first campaign as a tabletop game series. And I heard that spanned 6 months to a year or 2 years, something crazy. And they turned around and turned it into like, what was it? 8 episodes?
12
episodes. That's amazing to me. You know, I had some problems. with some of that, the 3D animation, the CGI. But outside of that, I thought this was marvelous.
Okay. All right. So you got a full binge out. Mm-hmm. Courtney, how are you going to rate it?
Well, it's very interesting because I've been hearing about Vox Machina. I've been hearing about it and I hadn't watched it yet. And I didn't know all this backstory about it coming from Dungeons and Dragons. That's actually very helpful. Knowing that it came from that's the history of it. I gotta be honest. Right now I'm at a full meal, but I'm in between a binge out. I'm just not quite there yet because I did have some problems with certain story elements. I don't know. I'm not sure that if that is something that really is going to keep me from giving it a full binge out, you know what I mean? So I might need the conversation. I did like the animation because it reminded me of old school 80s cartoon look of like the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that we grew up with. So I did like that kind of throwback style was very what's the word I'm looking for? Not engaging, but it was a draw for me. And I loved all of the voice actors. I just did have like, it started out one way. You thought you're going one place, and then it just completely did a turn and went to down a completely different path. And I felt like all of the characters didn't get a clear story arc per se, but I did think that I liked for the most part where we ended up, and I like the camaraderie of the team. So, like I said, I'm right now I'm at a full meal, but I'm heavily leaning towards a binge out. Like I'm not a prude. I wasn't bothered by like Scanlan was honestly one of my favorite characters. It was a little gross, not gory. I got no problem with gore. It was just a little gross for like no reason that it needed to be gross. No.
Okay, so you're giving it
I'm giving it a full meal right now, but yeah.
Okay.
I could go up.
All right. So that gives us a cumulative score of a 4.5. So if we round that up, that's a full binge out as it stands right now. So that could, I don't know, maybe in this discussion it could change. I just wanted to ask anybody, did any of you watch the web series?
I've watched like a couple of episodes, not religiously. I'll watch it on Twitch from time to time. My friends were telling me to watch it or something, reminding me to watch it. In the gaming industry, it is popular. People do watch it and enjoy it because they are a full voice cast. Actually, we were watching it one time when I was working on Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, and it was because we're looking for voice actors to play a particular part.
Yeah, so. And that's really how it started. It was a Matt Mercer, he got a group of his voice actor friends, and they just started playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Was it the actual actors that are cast in these roles?
Some of the,
they're playing their characters.
They expanded it, but yes,
the central characters. So
you're saying Gray Griffin actually played Vex?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know all of the ones that did. I just know part of the cast.
Like one of the twins.
Yeah.
Vex is the girl, and then Vax is the boy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All of them are playing themselves.
Right. And so, they decided to start doing it on a Twitch run. And I mean, it's a Dungeons and Dragons game. It literally is. And you're watching Dungeons and Dragons when playing on Twitch. It's not, I don't know. It's okay. It's okay to watch. I think a Tabletopics game is something that you have to participate in, and just sitting there watching somebody play.
I mean,
it's kind of like theater read.
Right. It's
I'd love for us to play another game.
Right.
Soon,
right.
I think you can do it. It's just a theater read, and you never know what the Dungeon Master is going to do.
Right. I mean, 10 minutes into it, though, to me, it was like, well, okay, I'm just watching some people have fun. I want to live that experience myself. So I just thought watching the web series was okay. But the idea that he wanted to take it and make it into an actual series. So he started a Kickstarter fund, right? With the goal of raising $750,000. Within an hour, they had $1 million. Within 3 weeks, they had $4.5 million. So they raised enough money to actually shoot like the first 3 episodes when all they were trying to do was get the pilot. That to me is phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
Yeah. And so they shot those first 3 episodes on their own before they got back?
On their own time.
Yeah. Right. And then what was it? What was the name of your friend's company, Chuck?
Titmouse.
Titmouse. They partnered with them, and then they got it to Amazon. Like, to me, like, I don't know how I cannot like it. To me, it started off as no less than a mini
like
off
that,
of that, right?
That, like I said, the backstory is everything.
Yeah, they really brought their dreams to fruition. I thought that was just amazing. Okay, so
I just want to just a quick moment. Hey, thank you for everybody that is hopping in online. I know we probably gonna have a couple of critters bopping in. Fred just bopped in and said Greg Griffin voices Lady Briarwood, and John Greenhall. Yo, thank the both of you.
Oh, that's right, Lady Briarwood. That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
Play a game online. One of those things that I definitely recommend if you've not played a tabletop game. You should absolutely, and then it'll give you a lot of perspective towards the show. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and close my mouth. I didn't mean to take the microphone.
No. Thank you for that correction.
Yeah,
thank you. You're right. I knew it was Lady Briarwood, and I said Vex. So thank you for that.
Yeah. They are the highest earners on Twitch too. They made 9 million last 2 years.
That's amazing. That is just amazing.
They made 9 million on Twitch.
9 million playing the game, playing a tabletop game. Yep.
It was so jarring that became almost a meme into itself when the Twitch streaming numbers came out, and the highest earning Twitch streamer was Critical Role. It was this particular group. Yeah, so there's definitely like a market for it. Obviously, I mean it's destroying Twitch, and now they had their fans pay for another future project. So that's just a testament to the growth of tabletop gaming.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it a little bit. So Courtney, you touched on it a little bit, and Chuck, you touched on it a little bit. So I'm gonna come back to you guys. But Centel, what did you think about the quality of the animation and the art house style of the series?
You know what? I didn't really think about the old school nostalgic feel about the old 80s Dungeons and Dragons series until Courtney had mentioned it. And for a lot of you probably have not seen the original, but I do remember waking up early in the morning and seeing the little unicorn and the little young barbarian and the wizard that could never get it right and all of that. So there was a piece of my childhood that was wedged into that. I didn't even realize that was what I was looking for. I was a huge fan of the animation style of projects such as like Invincible. I think Titmouse may have been a project that went along with that.
I'm not sure if it's Invincible.
Maybe
but
not.
I know it was The Boys Diabolical.
The Boys Diabolical. I did watch a couple episodes of that, and the animation is fresh. It's fun. It's not over the top as say something like Mappa, but it's still good enough. I think it's solid American animation. If you're going into this looking for anime style, this ain't that. And that's not what's going to drive this story. Yeah. But it's good enough to keep you engaged. Yeah.
I didn't miss that classic like anime look. I did you appreciate Centel? Did you like the old 80s kind of throwback?
No, I did. I mean, I didn't even really know anything about Dungeons and Dragons at that time when I was a kid, but it was fun and I loved it. And there was something cool about wizards and barbarians and all of that just kept me coming back when I was a kid. I think the thing that shines is the voice acting, but that may be another question later.
I thought that the animation style lended itself to what the project was. I thought that making it maybe too crisp or something like that, it would have made it, I don't know. I thought for the story that we got, this animation style fit perfectly into that wheelhouse. And it was a part of the story to me. So it wasn't out of the sight. Like it wasn't, what was that one we watched? What was the one we watched with the amazing?
Castlevania?
Well, not Castlevania, but I was thinking, what was the one?
Jujutsu Kaisen?
Not Jujutsu Kaisen. It was like 3D. It was 3D animation. It was 3D animation. It was just like beautiful. It was the Arcane. It's not like
Arcane. Yeah.
Arcane levels, right? All right.
But it wasn't trying. Yeah,
it wasn't trying to be. And for the story that we got, it worked perfectly for that to me. Like I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Once you go into 3D animation changes. It's different. It's a little fluidity to it. There's the computer helping with the keyframes and moving. So in 3D animation, you want to get the main poses correct, and they have programs that they help you get all the in between poses for every frame. So, but that's what makes 2D such a joyous thing to watch, because for anime they skip frames. For American animation, if you're Disney, you're paying somebody to paint every single frame, and that's a lot of time and money. Now they have programs that can offset that a little bit, to do a little bit of both, but to do it well is tough. It is tough to have 2D overlaid with 3D.
Okay.
That was my biggest issue with animation with this show was when I saw the dragon, I instantly knew the dragon was 3D. It just flowed so different.
Yeah, the dragon was pretty beautiful.
The dragon was pretty. It was.
Brimsight,
beautiful.
the blue dragon, Brimsight.
The blue dragon.
He was pretty hot. Like I was like, dang, that was fierce.
And it shows. I'm not sure they did 3D animation with they did the 3D animation with any of the characters at any given moment, but they were all 2D like, and so I was like, oh, they stood out a little bit over top of him. And then when I saw, all the bodies inside the tomb, the little tomb they had under the tree,
the zombies.
It made no sense for them to animate all those characters. I kind of felt like how I felt watching this last 2 seasons of MAPPA doing Attack on Titans when they went from 2D animation house to MAPPA's 3D animation. Because, the Titans now move a whole lot more and they have a lot more animation and movement to them because they went to MAPPA's 3D engine and let MAPPA do their 3D style to them to make it look like it's 2D. But you can tell the difference. I felt like, Attack on Titans doesn't have the same luster to me because it's not 2D anymore, it's 3D. And it feels that way. Even though the story, I still love it.
Yeah, I don't really miss that. I mean, I just love Attack on Titans.
Yeah.
But when I brought up Castlevania, there was a moment when we got to Percy's family castle, like the underground part. It reminded me of season 1 where we first met Alucard when they have to go through all those different levels and layers and stuff like that. It reminded me of that, not like Dracula's castle, but like in season 1 before when they were seeking Alucard and to find him for the very first time, that reminded me of that castle when they first went into it. I think it was Percy's castle, but yeah, I was like, oh, it was still beautiful, you know what I mean? But I did get flavors of that. I also like the style that each character had, although X did remind me of a much better Korra from the Avatar series. She was dressed a little bit like she was a little more badass. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not a big Korra fan, but like every character had their own style. Like Scanlan was suave, Percy was like very dapper and like very regal. He reminded me of someone from like God, I can't think of like all those like steampunk kind of shows with, and especially like even all his weapons and stuff like that. And the same with like Vax, who was Vex's twin, reminded me of like they felt like someone from like Lord of the Rings. It was really interesting. And Pike, I freaking loved Pike. Like the look of her, everybody had their own thing, even Keyleth, like with her crown. Like I really like the design of the characters. I thought they were very intricate, right down to Keyleth's like little freckles,
Oh, Chuck in the chat, they're giving you props. It's like he out here speaking truth. So the chat, your analysis of the animation style.
Yeah.
So we talked on the characters. Like, what do we think about the voice acting for this? Because we know in the animation property, your voice acting can just kill a series. And do not say his name. Do not say that.
I wasn't gonna do it.
No, I know where y'all was going. Do not say it. Do not say it. But so I'm gonna start with you, Courtney. You're an actress. What do you think about the voice acting for this project?
Every single character was incredible. I like they were all distinctive. They all had their own sound and just they conveyed such, emotion. Like I was attached to all of them, to all of their success and or failure. Like, I thought they were perfectly cast.
Okay. All right. What about you, Chuck, man? How'd you feel about the voice acting?
I thought it was perfect. It was perfectly cast. They weren't cast. They've lived these characters for years. And you knew these characters. These weren't characters. These are real people.
These are real people. Like they were alive.
They do this every week. They got hundreds of hours in with these characters. They think on the off days when they're not playing Critical Role, they're thinking about what their character's going to do the next time they get together and what kind of dilemma they're in. And the fact that they met the dungeon master, who was their dungeon master on Critical Role?
Matthew Mercer was the dungeon master. He's the creator of it. He was the dungeon master.
He's a bad.
He was the showrunner.
I don't know if he was the showrunner. He was the creator of the game. Like, it was his game where it started from. And he, when it first started, used to do a lot of the characters. And then as they invited more people in, they started to adopt them and everything.
He's a badass. I don't know who it is. I gotta go look that up on the Wikipedia, who this guy is, because he created the Briarwoods. And the Briarwoods are amazing characters. They're amazingly voice acted. They made total sense to me. Like their whole mission, what they were doing, it just made total sense to me. Lady Briarwood is like one of my most beloved characters. I loved her. I know why she was doing it. It's like,
it's
for love. That's why I love it. The cause is for love. That's
doing it for love, you know, like you know, it's always comes down to like her trying to, like the woman trying to save her husband. You know what I mean? It didn't even matter what he was dying of.
All right, so since we talking the Briarwoods, right? So tell Brian, I know how you love them villains, man. So you didn't you weren't that impressed with the villains last week when we did Reach It, right? So how do the villains for this week stack up for you?
Okay, well, it kind of ties into what you were saying regarding some of the voice acting. And I'm not sure exactly who did the voice acting for those particular characters, but I know the original voice actor was Matt Mercer, right? So he's had time to sit there and season these characters over sessions and sessions, and eventually those characters become like who you really are. So whether it was him that did the voices, or he found somebody that can embody the spirit that he knows like the back of his hand of who these characters are, the casting was amazing. And the thing about when you're dealing with theater of the mind, when you're dealing with Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming, is that the story is told through the eyes of the dungeon master and experience with you and your friends. So the world that's going to be created is created by people that buy all in. And I think that's one of the reasons why the villains work so well, because when they spoke, I bought into it. I believed it. I believed the fact that they were doing this for love. I believed the fact that she would do any and everything, including raising all hell and the dead, in order to meet their goal and destroy whoever it was that stood in their way. These villains had real purpose. So when I saw their motivation for the actions that they did, I was like, damn, y'all are the worst, and I love it. I love that. Give me those kind of villains.
And you know what? It wasn't, the beauty of it wasn't like they set out to like destroy humanity. Like it wasn't their mission. Their mission was literally, like, her whole mission was literally to save her husband. But she would have like fucked up the entire world in order to keep him alive. You know what I mean? If I gotta sell my soul to the whispered one, that's fine. I don't care. As long as he's alive, as long as I got him rolling with me. And that's the beauty of it, you know, because you need a mission, you need a purpose. You can't just be out there like wreaking havoc for like no good and daggone reason. Like, you have a mission, and then I can buy on and support what it is you're trying to do. Like, I understand, I don't agree with it, but I understand, you know what I mean? Like,
a good villain is the hero of their own story, right? I mean, in their eyes, they're the hero, right? And everything that they're doing, it justifies the means, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My only issue with the villains is the two main villains, the big bosses. We lived with them long enough. It's all the other villains in the way getting to the big bosses. Exactly. Like Anna Ripley. I wanted more time with them. I wanted more time with those villains. Like the professor, I wanted to know more about the professor. The one that was teaching them when he did a flashback. And he was like, fuck these kids. That's like
these old rich ass privileged.
That was kind of funny to me too, though. He was like, damn, these kids.
He gave the quote of a lifetime. He was like, I hope you all never have to be out here and be like real people.
He did, you know, like, and I feel like I got everything I needed to know from them, with the exception of Anna Ripley, because I did like that she escaped. You know what I mean? Although I did have one problem. I'm like, you got her hands tied, and one of her hands is a nub that she could just slip right out of. That was my only problem. I was like, what really?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That was my one problem.
Like General Craig, I want to know more about General Craig. And he jumped through the painting. He
died a little too early for me. I thought he died a little too early.
Exactly. That was one of my main problems with like, okay, you started out with one way, following one villain, which turned out to be the dragon Brimscythe. I think that was his name. Yep. And like, you know, you give us a sleight of hand, you make us think it's the one blue dude because he's blue and it's a blue dragon. You know what I mean? And then you give us the actual villain dragon. You show us the little insignia of the 5 total dragons, and I think we're going down this way. Now, I don't have a problem. Like, we went down a completely different way because that dragon, I thought we were following the twin story. I thought we were going to be following them. And then they went a whole different direction and we started following Percy. You know what I mean? I just needed a little bit more lead up into the Briarwoods because it just kind of like dropped us into, and we're just sitting there and Percy's having his moment of like realization. And then all of a sudden we're in Percy's world. So that to me was like,
up in there. Okay.
It's abrupt.
I just wanted to grab the mic real quick. All right, so there was a bit of an explanation, and this is why I said it is a binge-worthy in the context that I know where its roots come from. But had I not been a member of Dungeons & Dragons and heard the story of how this came together, it would not be binge-worthy because of that element that you're saying, because the story is a little off at times. It's a little all over the place. But the reason is because this is a story being told in real time that it's based off of. So there's things that happen in real time to real people. Like, there's a reason why Pike is no longer a part of the crew, is because the real voice actor had a gig that she had to go to, so she had to leave the group. So the dungeon master, Matt Mercer, was like, okay, well, I'll find a way to place her. Maybe we can't hit this particular storyline without the entire group going on, but I still got heat for you. You know, so we're going in the path in real time of how they did it when they were playing the tabletop game in the first season. That's why the story isn't as cohesive as it could be.
Yeah, it's a reenactment of their first season.
You're right.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. And if I were watching it on Twitch, that would be one thing, you know what I mean? And I understand you're recreating and reenacting what happened in real life. However, watching it as a viewer, it just, I would have needed that context, which you just gave me, in order for that to reconcile within my brain, in order to justify it. But me just watching as a viewer and thinking, you know, like from a writing perspective, I'm like, it was just whiplash. I'm like, wait, what? I mean, and I don't need to follow. That's not the job of the audience to dictate where the story is going to go. But at the same time, you just dropped me into, like, there was a whole bunch of things that were leading up. And, you know, like we got introduced to the twins that, you know, like Vex and Vax had, you know, their parents were killed by dragons. Then we're introduced to a dragon. Then we find out, you know, like Keyleth has something that she's also running from, and she has a mission. And then all of a sudden we're dropped right into Percy's world.
Because the Briarwoods showed up. Yeah.
Well, because the Briarwoods show up. And I understand, yes, they became the heroes of Taldore, and it's just following the mission of them as like the protectors of Taldore. Like, I get that. I didn't miss that part. I'm just saying it was a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
That's a good note about Pike and knowing like why she left. That to me, I appreciated that because I believed her reason. The reason he created for her to like leave and be away from the group, dude, that was dope. It really was. Yeah. Like but like her astral projecting back into the group, like not just coming back, like not just showing up in her human body. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you always wonder, like, how you gonna get here? Like, you like 90 miles away. You just made it there on time. You know what I mean? Like, I respected that she was an astral projection. Like, that was different.
And I was like, how damn powerful is she? And how long is she gonna be able to keep this shit up? Because she was in astro, she was astro planet for like 3 or 4 episodes. And this beautiful gold glow.
Right. And she had her power.
And she had all her
and she looked like Aang's last avatar state. Like, she really beasted out. I was like,
an angel. Like,
she never missed one step either. Like, she was in sync with everything, and she was able to project her power and still heal tell people, which was her strength throughout the series, and still do that astral plane. I was just like, damn, if she get in person, ain't nobody gonna be able to mess with her.
Right.
I think you were gonna say something, man. Sorry.
I respected that the reason she left the group was to find herself, because that's a lot. It's very easy to lose yourself within a group and to go along with the group and forget what you personally believe and feel is your truth. And so like I totally identify and resonate with her personal journey. So I don't feel like I missed her. I wanted her to be there with the team, but she was still, like she said, I'm always with you in spirit. So
when she showed back up in spirit form. What's really interesting too is this form of storytelling is very non-Western. And that's what's prevailing. That's what's winning right now on the international stage. So Korean dramas, they'll follow one direction, something that happened, an incident that happened, no matter how minor or major, it changes the whole story trajectory. The whole story turns to something different. And I know anime is that way, Japanese storytelling is that way, and Korean storytelling is that way. But what I've learned when I worked at Netflix is Nigerian storytelling is that way. Arabic storytelling is that way. Our form of storytelling is very Western. It's very Shakespearean.
Linear. It's like linear, just straight A, B, C, D. And I enjoyed that as well, man.
So we're going to see a lot more storytelling where you think you're following one storyline, it's going to break from it.
But that dragon scene, like, I mean, I know
I didn't think I was gonna like personable.
But that dragon scene, the battle they had with him was so good. Like in the several battles they had with him, because let's be honest, the first battle they lost horribly, and Keyleth saved them. She saved them their behinds. You know what I mean? Like, and like he was. I thought this pilot was the
best pilot I've ever seen.
That was David Tennant too.
It was David Tennant. I know.
Yeah. Okay. This pilot kicked off, it really set the tone for what this series was going to be. And they ask a question right in the middle of the pilot. It's like, what is our purpose? So it's like, who the hell are we? We just a bunch of people that's together. Like we're poor. We keep failing at everything. Like how, like, should we even keep this up? Even the brother and sister, the twins are like, I'm just kind of in it for myself. You know what I'm saying? So like they're scattered all apart. And then like you said, with that dragon scene, it's the fight and it coalesces them together and it just sets the tone for the remainder of the series. And that's what I thought was the underlying theme of it. Like, I know I said it a little bit in cross-style, like we are family. Like they became a real family for that.
Yeah.
Like, and even like at one point they said like, you know, we need to beat him, like do what we do best, which is be annoying. Right, and fight, you know what I mean? Like they like fought in order to like throw somebody off their game just because that's what they're known for, to be that ridiculous.
Yeah. Even when Pike was like, let's go get real jobs. And he looked at her like, no, that's good. Why the hell? Because she wanted, you know, she was trying to lead them to be good, her good self. And that's when she had to go find herself because she found glory in being with him and this asshole group of people. Let's go be honest, good working people. They looked at her and they're like, no, even Grog was like, no, that's not what we do.
Grog was a character I didn't think that I was going to like. I thought he was going to be the big, dumb lug.
Very Drax.
Right, but it was so much. It was so many layers to him throughout this series. And when Pike shows back up, he's like the happiest dude in the world. He gives her a hug and literally tells her, "My best friend is back." And I felt that when he said,
"That's right." That's how you feel when I come in the room. I get it.
Moving on, right? So, like, as we talked about voice acting just a little bit, I was going to talk about it, right? Have you ever heard somebody speak and then when you meet them, you're just like, I didn't put that voice with that face or that. But with these characters, I did, right? If I wouldn't have been able to see any of these characters, I'm like, yeah, that's how I imagine everybody on here would have.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
When I first saw who Pike was and I saw the voice actor,
Ashley Johnson. Yeah, the little girl from Growing Pains. Yeah, she's several. She's obviously done like so many other things in her career. But that's when you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I thought that was
big huge shout out to the chat as well. Hey, if you have any questions, please make sure you drop it into the chat because we would love to answer them live. We got Zay Frank who said, it was Ashley Johnson as Pike, having to shoot the TV show Blind Spot on NBC, and that is in reference to her disappearance and her astral projection being shown in season 1. I think just to kind of like jump in and maybe change the tone a little bit. I just think that it's this form of storytelling Chuck had mentioned earlier regarding like internationally speaking, the way stories get told are different than what our Western narratives are from. But I do want to say that there is something interesting regarding tabletop gaming and its live show, because the story is very fluid, it's very dynamic. They may be onto something, because a lot of times we lean on a writing room in order to stick to our tropes that we're used to, whereas Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming in general doesn't necessarily follow those same rules. So you're going to get a story that is going to be unlike something that you may typically see. Now, if they're still going to follow the same format regarding the multiple seasons that Critical Role has done this type of gaming, I think we may, as viewers, may be pleasantly surprised by not being able to always guess what happens with the typical tropes, because things are freestyle, you know. So I'm curious as to how this may grow, even if it catches on. But it's cool to see this change up and this shake up of storytelling.
Like I said, I don't want the audience to think that I'm saying I want to be able to follow. I like being surprised. And there were some really cool moments that I was completely surprised, and I was invested in this story. You know, I don't want to always, if I always know where I'm going, then that's a boring show. Right. Like this one, I talk about all the grody moments for me, but they shocked the hell out of me. They didn't get me. Sure did.
And we get a little bit of like
even in the pilot when Scanlon was like in between that girl's legs, the little purple girl, and like
the way he looked back like.
Yes, Scanlon.
I need about 5 more minutes. Like 5 more minutes.
Scanlon's off the chain.
And then they had
he's like my favorite character.
It was the character. Gosh, what was she? She was the character like the barkeep in Onward, and I cannot think of what that particular mythological creature is. Somebody help me out. But it was that character from Onward who turned into like this human self and then turned back into that like mythical like barkeep owner. And I thought she was so dope. Her mom, she was like, and what's that gnome doing with my daughter?
Yeah. I love the fact that him and Pike were both gnomes, and she walked away and he was like, I'm heartbroken. Like, this is my girl. And when she shows up, she's like, yeah, let's get married. And he was like, what?
No, he said that. He said, marry me, because she saved his, she like healed his arm. She was like, okay. He was like, wait, what? And
she was like, no. He was not ready for that.
No. But you know, I thought that was a real moment, because
that was a real moment.
Like, listen, because I you know, there's times in your life when you out there living your life and doing you, but then there's always, you know, that one. Like, listen, I'll hang it up if you for real. I like that. I like the way they went about that.
Yeah. Purple Like Fire says lots of loose ends that might not be answered for a few seasons. And he said Barkeep was challenging, but turned into Minotaur.
Yeah. Minotaur. That's what it was. Minotaur. Thank you.
We appreciate that. Purple Like Fire. We appreciate that.
Fire. We appreciate it.
But
thanks for the chat.
Because I was like, first of all, I was so mad at Keyleth. I was like, Vax is awesome. What is wrong with you? He's totally lucky. He was wrong with it in the middle of the battle. But like, come on, he cute. Like, really?
We've talked about the team. We've talked about the team. What do we think about his sister?
I love that.
Sisters.
Vex was awesome.
I thought she was awesome. I kind of think Keyleth likes Vex.
Maybe. It could.
I kind of think Keyleth likes Vex.
And I wasn't talking about Vex. I was talking about Percival's sister.
Oh, Percival's sister?
Cassandra.
But what do we think about her?
That was an interesting. Sorry, going back to Vex, Keyleth liking Vex. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I think she does.
I think she does too.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I would. Let's just say I would be surprised.
Yeah,
I mean, Vax, let's be honest. Vax totally would hook up with the shop owner. They, they were fluid. They
Oh
flew.
yeah, that's happening.
They were
That's
all fluid.
Oh, yeah.
This was a very inclusive group of characters, right? And then,
Yeah.
They were about that
So
life.
natural.
So,
But
But
here's
that's
the thing.
natural
It was
back then. People
natural.
were just
Right.
doing
It
what they
wasn't, people
do.
were just being people. Like,
People were
I'm
just being
attracted to you.
people.
I got feelings. Like, you know what I'm saying? We can
Yeah,
do what we can
doing
do.
whatever.
Like, even Scanlan, when old dude was sitting on the side of the
Yeah, at the
fountain, like
end.
shirtless, he was like,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing? You know what I mean?
and then he said, nobody wants your gonorrhea. Let's keep it moving, son.
Dead. I was dead. I was like, oh, my God, that is
but
amazing.
Cassandra, I like Cassandra. I even liked her. Here it is. She's raised by the Briarwoods and the same professor. I can see her being mentally messed
It
up.
was a little bit of the winter
Your
soldier
brother
happening there.
abandoned you, and she doesn't know what happened to her brother. All she knows is she got arrows in her back, and she was on the
Right.
ground,
Right.
and her brother was
Shocked
gone.
too.
But
I
they
was shocked.
also,
I thought you was dead too.
She was magic.
Right,
She was
right.
magic. It was the winter soldier happening there. She was a Manchurian
Yeah.
candidate.
It was magic, but like it's some psychological stuff. Like she's what,
Yeah.
12? Her parents get killed.
13.
Her brother who
Abandoned her,
been
like your
around
brother
was
left
on
you
the
to
run, and it's
die.
like these vampire dudes, like, hey, they might
protect
healed
her.
him.
No, but
brought me
that
back
kid,
together.
like,
Yeah.
he got, first of all, he started with hair was brown. They started torturing his ass, and his hair turned all the way white.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
thing you know, like, we see Percival, and he still got a head full of white hair. I was
Yeah.
like, that poor child. Those poor children.
Trauma. Full
like
blown trauma.
Percival.
And he's
I like
carrying
him.
like a demon with him on top
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Your hair
Yeah.
turn
A
white,
vengeance
too, yeah.
demon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who puts, it was so funny when he
With the
saw his
cod piece
sister's
on his
name come
face.
across the gun.
That's from like the classic. No, that's from the classic Greek theater. That face. I cannot think of what it is, but
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the mask? It looked like
Yeah.
the pandemic, the early 1400 bubonic plague mask. that the
Yeah, but it
doctors
has
would
a
wear.
name. It
Yeah.
has a name, and I can't think of what it is.
What was the purpose of the mask? He would put it
It's
on,
his other character, his alter ego.
Mhm.
but could he not be it without it, or did it
No, he was.
barely enhance the powers or something? I never
It
quite.
probably enhanced
I know
him.
the smoke, the black smoke started coming up.
No,
Basically,
it's a
put it
character
on.
piece from old school
He turned to a-
theater. Like,
mhm.
yes, and it means something. Like it was like certain people would wear this mask in like Elizabethan times or like
Mhm.
Greek theater. I gotta look that up because
I thought it was always like the doctor. It was a doctor.
I think it was the
that wore
doctor.
that.
Yeah, I think it was
Because
the doctor.
From my understanding, that nose had a purpose in real
It
world,
did.
and it was like it had
Ah.
posies and
Yes.
all kinds of stuff. Because at the time, they thought smell was what caused people to get sick. Not knowing, obviously, they didn't know about viruses,
Respiratory.
bacteria,
They
and
didn't
stuff
know
like
about
that.
respiratory
Microbiology.
diseases.
But-
They were
But
on to
at
something.
the time, right?
was
At
the
that
nose.
time, they thought
They
that
didn't
that nose, and they filled it with flowers and stuff. That as long as you're smelling the good stuff, whatever it is that's jacking everybody else up isn't
Oh.
going
Won't
to kill
get
you.
you. Yes.
Right. I mean, they were wrong, but it came from a right
Oh,
place.
hell, they
right?
were talking about being wrong. They were hella wrong, hella wrong.
Can I pause one more second? Hey,
man.
I just want to give another shout out to the chat. Yo, Zay Frank, thank you so much for bopping in. Zay
Yeah.
Frank has a question for us. They're saying, my question is, what sort of character would you play or voice if you had a cameo in the show?
Oh, that's a good
Ooh.
question.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass this mic to Johnny. I'm sorry, still, my bad. Just want to make sure the chat.
Oh,
people
no,
get-
you good. I thought you were passing it to me to answer. Like, why you gonna throw me out there?
Oh,
Like,
that's it. That's
Well,
it.
answer it, Johnny.
That too?
Answer it, Johnny. Answer it.
I don't know, man. I like the scene what we talked about with the dragon. So I'd like to be in like a dragon hangout and coming into the town, like to take over shit, because that's kind of how we end. So I'd like to be one of the accompanying dragons coming in to wreak havoc on the town. That's what I'd like to do.
I would be a mystic. I would be like a psychic soothsayer, something like that. You know what I mean? Like that would come in and give prophecies, but find a way to offer like this like dark prophecies that lead them on a different path. I would be that kind of person. Ultimately, maybe I would travel along with them, but that's where I'm at right now.
Chaku, what about you, bro? Oh, Centel, go ahead, man.
Listen, tell.
Yeah. I would definitely be an antagonist going against our protagonist. You already know that.
Right.
But I would probably be like a monk with a righteous cause, based off of the philosophies of where I learned my discipline. and whatever reason that's forcing me off of my space of solitude to disrupt it is what's conflicting with the protagonist. So yeah, that would be me.
I like it. I like it. Chuck, what about you, bro? What character would you be?
I'm gonna be like Pan.
Of course.
Of course, I'm gonna be Pan, a woodland creature playing my flute.
So are you from Keyless Village? Like
no. I rule over Keyless Village. They worship me.
Okay, because she's next in line for the throne. So are you coming to have a coup?
I'm what she praises. So she's half human, half elf, like the twins. But I'm the guy that plays music.
Is she half human? I thought
she's half. All the elves.
I thought they were all elf.
They're all half human.
The twins are half. But I thought Keyleth was full.
She's
half. I thought,
too.
Since she was the queen, I didn't realize she was full.
But I read she's half.
Or half. I didn't realize she's half.
The only two people that are pure are the gnomes. They're pure gnome, and Percy's pure human.
Which I thought was interesting that he was the Rolos were the sovereigns of that town. What was it?
Whitestone. Wasn't it Whitestone?
Yeah, I thought it was Whitestone.
Whitestone. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that humans were the ruling family in a town that was mostly elven. I thought that was pretty interesting.
And the father seemed kind of like a dick. I didn't. Percival's father, I didn't think he was a good person. He seemed like he was looking down on people to me. And I was like, that's why the professor turned his back on his ass. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, the mother didn't look right. She did look a little Nurse Ratched. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, yeah, they probably wasn't feeling them, man. They was raising the kids to look down on other people too. I was like, yeah, they weren't ready for the world. And that professor knew it. He was like, we get rid of them, we get this kingdom easily. So when the Briarwood swooped in, it was just a matter of time, man. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't tell, like, were the Briarwoods from that town or did they just come to the town?
They just showed up.
I thought they showed up. That was my
like a takeover.
Hey. They're the rich.
Ain't no telling how many times
the rich nobles that showed up.
Right. And ain't no telling how many towns or things they done took over. Because we never got how old they were.
The family name or just
the Briarwoods.
The Briarwoods. Like we don't know, like they could have been hundreds of years. And they were just going there from town to town. Like that's how she kept him alive or whatever. That was just
Lisa Jackson came in. She said Caliph is half elf. The Shari are a mixture of all different races and people, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll be a Pan running around. Mixture of Pan and black. I don't know what comes out of that.
A black amazing. Pan.
A black Pan.
Call me Skillet. I'll be a Skillet.
You beat it too. I was just about to say, like your name about to be Skillet. Oh man.
No, man. Well, I feel like we done talked about this enough, guys. So let's go ahead and
really, we're not gonna talk about like the shit scene.
Do you really want to talk about the shit scene?
I really do, because there are a lot of things
get it out your mind. Talk about the shit scene.
Free your mind.
Yeah, because honestly, first of all, that was like the first episode we really got a full Scanlan-centric episode. Like it was his own personal private mission. And it wasn't just, it was like you walk in on somebody in the toilet, that's one thing. And then the person stands up mid shit. I'm sorry, I was not ready for that. I was like, no.
I thought that was amazing.
And he had to get that off his mind in case it was go time. You need everything off your mind before you get ready to do that.
I mean,
there were so many things in that episode.
Could you imagine working the turd out and all of a sudden somebody breaks in? You're like, what the hell? Lord. And it's perfect because it clipped the shit and it failed.
Oh,
God. He beat him with his codpiece, like his penis, like the penis shot, like the crotch shot. Talk about a crotch shot. I mean, that was the ultimate crotch shot. I was
my man straight pissed on somebody at the thing. So Skillet, when the dude was posting up the post, and he just like
sure did.
Scanlan's power is the best. He's a bard that uses the hand. He has the hand.
He used the hand well.
The hand.
I thought he was wonderful, man.
Oh man, he's a great character.
I want to read his book or listen to his album because I bet you it is. No,
right?
They need a Scanlan album. They need a Scanlan album.
We need a Scanlan album. We do.
Did the heavy metal. When he did the heavy metal in order to like get them to rise, like I mean,
everything. Even the distraction when he first came out, he spit his spill and had his music playing. Like, so that's what we need. We need an album. We need an album. We need an album.
They need to kickstart an album. Scanlan's greatest hits.
Yeah, Scanlan's greatest hits. The book. We need the full multimedia experience. We need the album, the movie, the playwright, the book. We need it all, baby. We need it all because dude is dope.
There was one more little thing that I want to add before we do our final score. And that is the incorporation of just real tabletop elements. And they were subtle, but they were still really well done if you like really paid attention to it. And that is like when people like were rolling ones. You know, there was a lot of people messing their spells up. Percy, golly, maybe 1 out of every 5 times he shot his gun, it actually worked. You know, them having problems like they'll walk up to a door and they can't hack it, and they can't. And a big trope is, you know, doors are like they're a pain in the ass. And they had that in the show. So for those that are like the super hardcore, like D&D folks, you know, you get to see the people roll ones. You get to see the people roll nat 20s with when stuff just went absolutely crazy and spectacle. You know, so I thought that was great. It still remembered its roots.
There is.
Frank said there.
We got Scanlan's. There's a soundtrack of Scanlan songs.
Oh, really?
There's a soundtrack we need to have that on vinyl. So Frank, we need to have that on vinyl.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm about to buy it. I'm about to go check it out. Oh
my gosh. Yeah, we need that. We need to find that out.
Yeah, put it in the
Dude.
I was just bullshit when I said we needed a soundtrack.
No, we need a soundtrack. We definitely need a soundtrack. So I guess with that,
we do. That's you know. So no, I was gonna say Tail was talking about like the role playing game for Dungeons and Dragons, like it's extemporized, right? They're making it up as some of.
You're breaking
because
up,
what's
Randy.
That series? Curb Your Enthusiasm is kind of like. Can you not?
Oh, fortunately, man, you're breaking up, my guy.
You're breaking up. Your internet's violent.
Okay.
You're rolling double ones right now.
Yeah, we heard you say curb your enthusiasm. Yeah, like I somebody else can talk to that. I didn't I only watched one episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, so I'm not a big. But I don't know much about it, but I know I've heard of it. Yeah.
They have like a broad direction of where to go, and they're like almost just making up the shit as they go along. That's why I like what's his name? Not David Kelly. What's his name?
Larry David.
Larry David, right? That's why he's so funny and stuff in it. But for them to do that in live action is fine, but then for them to do that in animation, like that's really cool.
And to remember all the things that happened from their first season and bring it into current season.
Well, and you have it all. They have it all recorded, so they.
That's also true. That's also
true. Do all of it and said, "This is what we're going to take out. These are the key points."
But you have to do animation a while before, right? Animation,
like, you have to have the story down first.
Right. And for you all to be making it up like that, that's pretty dope, man. That gave me a newfound respect for what they did for this series. All right, so Courtney, is it okay now if we re-rate it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna start. We start with you, Chuck. How are you gonna re-rate, or how are you gonna rate The Legend of Vox Machina?
I gave it a full binge out. I'm sticking with the full binge out. I mean, I think it's an amazing property. I know all the backstory and everything to it, and I supported it on Kickstarter. And you know, I can't wait for season 2 because this reminds me of season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender or Castlevania. It established some things. Then season 2, they all shot out. They all shot up. So I hope this has the same trajectory and that we get an amazing season 2 and season 3, kind of like The Boys or Invincible. Like, you know, it established itself and it shot out. So I hope The Boys does. I hope they all do the same thing. It does.
Frank, that's what he said. There's a lot of open plot holes out there that we could touch on in season 2. So okay. So full binge out.
The full binge out.
Cool. Courtney, how you gonna re-rate it, man?
Well, after our talk, I honestly, I kind of answered my own question when I said that when they became the protectors of Taldore, the fact that the Briarwoods just happened to be there, it actually did have a through line. I thought it was go one way, but it went a completely different way. And I did enjoy learning more about Percy and his family and his gun, which reminded me a lot of Peacemaker from like Winona Earp, in just like a different way, like with the names. And there's another show that had like a gun that had like names when it would like choose its kill. Yeah, I really did overall. Like I really enjoyed it. So I'm probably gonna go up to a full binge out because at the very end it brought back the dragons. And I thought that was a great moment, because the one thing that I was really upset about was like, you introduced me to this conclave of dragons, and you kind of give me this insignia, and then you take me on this whole different journey for like the rest of the like 10 episodes. It's a completely different story. But then the dragons come back at the end. You know what I mean? Like,
so we come full circle.
So we've come full circle, and you gave us a cliffhanger, something to look forward to for season 2. So I'm gonna go up to full binge out.
All right, Centel, bro, how you gonna re-rate it?
Oh, it's gonna stay. I'm still just marveled over just the ambitiousness of the project regarding the crowdsource funding, regarding the different type of storytelling that we may not be comfortable with just yet, but I like the fact that the artists and these creators were willing to just step out there and just try it. Nothing really moves unless you try something new. But I also want to be very clear. This is hinging on a personal bias. It does have its issues if you are coming from a contemporary type of storytelling, and you may have issues with it. And I totally respect that. So. But because of that bias, and because I can get a chance to peek behind the curtains, it's absolutely binge-worthy.
Okay.
Finding out about the backstory actually helped me as well, because I didn't know that it was based on a tabletop game. So finding out that history really helped push me forward into changing.
And for me, like, when I read that, I was like, I'm not giving it anything less than a mini meal. Like, it's starting off at a mini meal. It can't go any lower. And then it was a really fun story. And you guys talked it up to me. I like the fact that they were able to extemporize and make changes on the fly, and it almost seems seamless. And with animation, that is very difficult to do, because you have to animate in advance and then the voiceover and all of that stuff. So for them to be able to pull it off successfully, I thought that was a bonus. There were some common tropes. I didn't think it added anything like exceptional or new, like nothing that I hadn't seen before in like the characters or things, but this was still fun, and it was gory, it was cussing, it was over the top, right? And as I said a little earlier, at the heart of it, they were a family. Like, those kind of stories get to me. Like, they all had their individual goals and biases and difficulties, but at the end, they coalesced and came together, and they're a family, and they got each other's back. Like, they got each other's back. It is no doubt in my mind that each one of them is willing to go down for the other ones, So the characters were varied. They had their own personalities, their own styles, their own acting style. So you guys talked it up for me. I was at a solid full meal, but I'm going to tweak that just a little bit and turn it up and turn it into an actual full binge out. So there we got it. We got 4 full binge out.
Wow.
Rating the legend of Vox Machina.
Machina.
Hey, I don't think that's happened since Jiu-Jitsu.
You were good to the very last one.
Hey.
You were good to the
I had no.
I think you're right, Centel.
What'd you say, Centel?
I don't think that's happened since Jiu-Jitsu, since Jiu-Jitsu Kaisen.
Yeah. Well, we gave what you call a full binge out, didn't we? Didn't we get Peacemaker? Everybody get Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Maybe we did.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
we did. We did.
Because if we didn't, I don't see how we couldn't. That was like,
It was great.
It was fun, man. It was a good show. I'm looking forward to a season 2. You all said it's already. I think earlier Rodney said it had been approved for a season 2. So. Cool.
I hope they take it as far as they can. And
I hope they do too.
And not keep with any tropes. Like, you know what? We're going to do our second season, because that's when Critical picked up to their second campaign. So I bet you how far it goes off the rails is how far this is going off the rails.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. So, Miss Courtney, got any parting words for us, ma'am?
Good luck and good night. Same geek time, same geek channel.
Absolutely. I like that. Centel, bro, you got any parting words for us?
Just hey, if this is your first time hopping in, if you're a critter that happened to stumble across this, thank you so much for hopping in. And please make sure you hit that subscription button, because we do this every single Wednesday. So please come and be a part of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chuck, you got any parting words for us, man?
Yeah, if you're a critter and you hop in, come be a part of the Geekish Network family. We're always looking for new people to come in. We're going to be bringing on new shows. We have a bunch of shows you have not seen that are amazing, from Geek Beast to this one, BingeWorthy, to Nerdtastic, to Origins Illustrated. We have a bunch of shows, and you should come check us out.
Absolutely.
Go through our back catalog. We got Tech Nubians. There's a lot of shows you can see and be impressed. And no, we don't give everything a full binge out.
No, we do not.
No, we do not.
Oh, we don't always agree with each other. Because it's literally what's on this family jam.
Definitely fighting over the remote.
Sometimes there's a lot of fights.
Yes, absolutely. Cool.
But just like in Vox Machina, we always come together.
Love. Yeah. Always love. Well, love. We all love each other. It ain't always love at the moment. We all love each other.
We do.
We all love each other, but it's like, man, I don't care what you said. This what I said.
It's a little spicy.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't how I saw it. Yeah, but it's always a fun time. You're always going to get interesting conversation, and we're 100% authentic. So again, Benjies, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. We are a network devoted to inclusion. We want underrepresented people, to be fully represented. We've got Asians, Blacks, Indians, Latinos, and women. Everything. We've got people who are actors and directors and writers and tech people and coders. And we do it all for people that look like you. We want to do our best to bring you the best content that is available. So please, if you are watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, right? Or if you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, don't forget to like us. And we still have our Twitch stream going, right? We don't do it every week, anything, but we have some specials. Got anything coming up on Twitch or anything, Chuck?
We're gonna play a game for real. Me and Centel gonna play. I gotta beat him in some games. Gotta let everybody know I'm just a privileged gamer here.
Come on.
Well, I'll come over to your house, Chuck.
Okay, you come over.
Y'all gonna beat me. I'm really just there for entertainment value.
We'll play some Smash Brothers or something.
And you'll still win. It's okay. I don't have any pride or shame.
Maybe play some Mario Kart.
So next week we're reviewing, was it The Boys Diabolic? Is that what we're doing? I think that's what
it was pending, right? Yeah, it was pending.
Yeah, it was either that one or Upload. I don't.
Okay,
one was Upload.
Yeah. Okay, Upload. Might be Upload. Okay, so Upload. We're doing Upload. So come back in and hear what we think about Upload. As Courtney just said, same geek time, same geek channel. Love you guys. Peace out.